John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Shampoo, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. You just heard David Cruz from KFI News. He was at the press conference today announcing that Toyota is moving over 5,000 jobs out of Torrance.
To Texas.
To Texas, of course. Plano, Texas.
Plano, Texas, north of Dallas. Now, they've been around, and they made Torrance their headquarters in 1982. And, I'm reading more quotes and comments. The mayor of Torrance, Frank Scotto, who said, and I think he's right, the state would have had to step in with something big. We can't match the state of Texas offer. We're just Torrance. But he thought that they were only going to move part of their operation. He didn't know until very recently that everything was going. He said, it's not that they deceived us. They just didn't answer our questions. It's like they didn't get back to us because they weren't a part of the loop.
Because they know it would be a waste of time. Jerry Brown and all the idiot Democratic legislators, all those felons and criminals up in Sacramento, don't give a rat's ass about people's jobs in California. And if they spent their time waiting for Brown to come back with an offer, they'd lose the Texas deal. They know they either don't have the money in Sacramento because they fed it all to the unions, or if they had the money, they don't care.
No, philosophically, they're not into this. So they would rather talk about how can we spend more money on social services. How can we reach out to the illegal immigrant population? How can we? They never think about looking the other way and saying, wow, you know what? If we keep companies and lure companies and get more jobs here, that's a great way to build the tax base. It just never occurs to them. They think, this is what they tell the media. California is a wonderful place. Nobody would really leave here, and people still want to come here in droves. But you've turned it into an awful place. The real estate's too expensive for many people to afford. The tax base is very high, and businesses get stuck with a lot of environmental regulations and a lot of licensing laws.
The global warming tax that is just was imposed in recent years. I mean, they don't even bother because they've been dealing with California's antagonistic business climate for a long time. So there's no point calling up Jerry Brown or whatever idiot he has in the Economic Development Office. They know it's a headache. They know it's not going to go anywhere. They know the offer won't be competitive. So Texas has taken $300 million to help build this site for Toyota in Plano. They'll get all that money back eventually because now you're going to have thousands and thousands of people working there, spinning off all kinds of other businesses that have to feed this plant or these offices. And eventually, that's how you build long-term a successful, thriving state. You make it attractive for a business. You invest some money. California doesn't do it. Now, they drive away businesses.
Toyota, for its part, said that really what we wanted to do was bring our operations. These were sales and finance people, a lot of paper pushers, office workers. They wanted to bring them closer to where they make the cars. People may not be aware, but the cars are made in states more closer to Texas, such as Kentucky, Kentucky, Indiana, Mississippi, and San Antonio, Texas. Those are where the plants are. So they had it down to a few locations. I don't think California was in the mix.
No.
Kentucky was one. They thought about Ann Arbor, Michigan, believe it or not, and then this Plano, Texas. But, Texas, Governor Rick Perry said the state offered Toyota $40 million in incentives from their taxpayer-funded Texas Enterprise Fund. And Perry made 2 visits to California to speak to Toyota. This supposedly is the 60th company to move to Texas from California since July of 2012.
Nissan moved its North American headquarters from Gardena to Franklin, Tennessee back in 2005. And at the time, the chief executive, Carlos Ghosn, said the costs of doing business in Southern California are much higher than the costs of doing business in Tennessee.
It's stuff like workers' comp, I'm reading, and more recently, paid family leave. It's like the companies add up the toll and say, hey,
right.
In the end, I got to deliver the bottom line, right, for the company. I can't be this social services outwork and a network for people. I'm a business.
So 5,000 really good paying jobs, middle class to upper middle class jobs, have now evaporated from one town.
Occidental, by the way, Petroleum announced in February it was relocating from L.A. to Houston. That's another big loss. That's 2 this year. 2 big companies.
Yeah.
Thousands of jobs each.
But you know what? Keep voting for Jerry Brown. And the L.A. Times can keep writing editorials and columns praising him. Rub him with all your ointments and lotions.
Right. All about, we've reduced the deficits. The future is golden in front of us. Well, no, not if you're not building the right economic base. We'll continue to have these deficits. You mark my words. Once the wealthy people see another stock market dip, we're going to be talking deficits again. Everybody's going to be wondering what happened. Well, what happened is you're relying on them too much.
Keep punishing businesses. Businesses are the root of all evil. So now you got 5,000 people here in California without a job. And so what's going to happen to their homes?
Unless they go to Texas, right?
Well, 1,000 are going to Texas. So there's 4,000 left. But there's going to be other people losing their jobs in Torrance for all the companies that fed the economic infrastructure there. It's a whole economic ecosystem that goes on in these towns. And now you're sucking out 5,000 jobs and 4,000 people and their families are going to leave. Or 1,000 people and their families are actually going to leave the state. That's a lot less tax, a lot less sales tax, a lot less property tax. Income tax, all that evaporates.
The rest of me calling that dopey unemployment office up in Sacramento and getting no answer. All right, the toll-free number, 1-800-520-1534.